Hi there, and welcome to the We Are Change talk show. Thank you for joining me. Today we'll be speaking to Catherine Lyell, a porn addiction specialist who offers a course to awaken your sex god. Let's go to that interview now. Catherine Lyell from Integrated Men's Health. Thank you for joining me today, Catherine.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me, how is pornography impacting on men's health?
Well, there's many ways that that's happening. The first would be the physicality of it. It's the number one cause of erectile dysfunction, and nearly 100% of the men that I see have erection issues, and they didn't even know they had them when they came to see me. So that's the biggest thing that guys will actually flag as perhaps this pornography isn't so good for them, and it shows up in terms of, what their genitals are doing. So, and that's probably the most frightening side of things that they actually noticed, and why men will actually do something about it because of that. But you've also got the mental side of things. Pornography causes brain damage, and people keep having a go at me online about this, but it's an actual science, and there's plenty of research there and findings. So it damages the part of the brain that is the control panel of the personality. It's called the frontal lobe at the front of your brain, and it also decreases grey matter in the brain. So that affects sexual behaviours, emotional expression, focus, concentration, memory, decision making, just everything basically, and it affects moods as well. So it's the number one cause of mental health issues that I found as well. So the physical, and then and the sexual and mental side of things. And men will be tired. They'll have anxiety. They'll have anxiety that just creeps up out of nowhere for no reason. And it may have just started in the last, couple of years or couple of weeks or months. There's lots and lots of things that are happening to men's bodies, and they're not even realising what's happening until I give them a list, and they're like, tick, 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 and it's all of it. So
that's very alarming, and I'm sure not many people would be aware of this. Now, premature ejaculation, erectile dysfunction, this would be causing quite a serious issue with a lot of relationships. I would imagine a lot of people would be keeping it a secret from their partner, their porn addiction, and there's a lot of shame and stigma attached. Is that what you've encountered in your profession?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've only met one man now who actually had the discussion with his partner in full detail, including all the extracurricular activities that he was doing outside of the marriage. He's had the big discussion, but I've asked every single man I've met, and none of them have told anyone the extent and the details of what their addiction entails. So not a mate, not a partner, nobody knows this, and I find that when we deep dive into that with guys, it's absolutely traumatizing for them. There's so much shame around it, and they probably don't even realise how much shame they do have around it until they actually have to sit here with me and talk about it. So yeah, there's a lot of shame. It's secret. It's this secret addiction in society, although the whole of society says it's fine to watch it and that we've all grown up, with it as our sex education kind of thing. And it's just, well, that's what guys do. It's their right. It's their passage. That's kind of how we've grown up in this culture. So it's a major issue because it's this secret thing that no one's talking about. The secrecy actually adds to the addiction. That's part of the addiction, is that no one knows about this, and I'm just doing this right now within myself. And trust me when I say I speak to plenty of men, and you wouldn't even believe the stories that I hear. They have to leave dinner parties or going out with friends temporarily just to go and have watch porn and masturbate in the car, and then come back to that party. I've got guys that are watching it in public toilets. There's lots of things that are happening out there that we just need to stop, because men are actually crossing legal boundaries with this stuff. They could be arrested. So some of the things that they're doing, including doing it at work, doing it around where children are, all of these things.
It seems like it's a matter of self-control and the addiction is taking over. That's catastrophic. Do you see any positive contribution in a progressive society for both men and women that pornography brings, or is it all detrimental?
No. I get asked this question all the time. There's no such thing as a positive relationship or a healthy relationship with porn. It just doesn't exist. The ones that will argue are the ones that are watching it with their partners, or the ones that are watching ethical porn. So ethical porn is when you're watching porn that doesn't involve sexual violence or, it's loving, right? So that's what ethical porn is considered, and people think it's okay to watch that. You can go for your life. Anyone can watch it, but it's still classified as a porn addiction. If you're watching it more than once a month, that's classified as watching something regularly or doing something regularly. If you can't go without something for a month, it's classified as an addiction. And I see guys all the time that watch it once a month, and they've been doing that for 50 years, and they still have major issues from that addiction. So in terms of it being healthy or progressive in society, it's the absolute seeding core of humanity. And I mean that because it's linked to mental health, suicide, relationship issues, and you've got, the extreme version of that is the pedophiles, the serial killers. I've researched all of those things. It all comes back to this porn addiction, which is taking over men's brains. And it's really becoming a massive issue with domestic violence, sexual violence, and the teenagers are growing up with this, thinking this is normal, and the girls are as well. So the girls aren't really watching it as regularly, but they're on the other end of this stuff, and because everyone's doing it, they think they have to put out, they have to do anal, they have to, go behind here and suck this at school, and all of these things that they're doing, and they've not even kicked the guy. So it's affecting society on a level that it's changing the vibration of the planet, and I'm directly linking it to suicide in men, and no one's looking at the reasons why men are killing themselves so frequently. In terms of the mental health stuff, we know they've got mental health problems, but no one's looking at the actual cause of those mental health problems, other than stress. It's stressful now, and that we've got phones now, and we've got Facebook now, and things like that. Well, guess what's on all of that is the porn.
And that's right. And sexual trauma has a serious effect on victims. Young people are being exposed to porn younger and younger, with the average age being 11 years old. Do you see clients presenting themselves with PTSD from porn exposure?
I have a number of clients. It's more common than you would imagine, that have been watching porn since they were 5, and they were heavily influenced by a father in that scenario, or a stepfather. So the average age is actually 8 to 11 now. It's getting younger and younger of when they first see it. I speak to plenty of women that have, wouldn't classify it as PTSD, but they've been traumatized by what they've seen on porn. And men, I found that they were traumatized if there was sexual abuse involved as well. So someone at that age, between 5 and 12, is more than likely being exposed to porn because of sexual molestation or abuse by a family friend or an older male who introduces the porn. So the grooming process. Look at this. Look what we can do. Look what turns you on. Look what gets you erect. There's massive trauma involved there. But I've never really had anyone. I've had some younger guys who are like 17 come in and speak to me and say that they've been traumatized by what they first saw. But the problem is that it's so accessible to them that they just keep watching it until they find something that doesn't traumatize them, and then they're watching it every day, and that first experience has gone out the door, and now they've got mental health issues. So it's very hard to separate PTSD from porn, but there's definite trauma involved, and anyone under the age of, let's say 12 that's seen it, or even older than that, is probably going to be traumatized by seeing it, considering what's out there.
And would you advise your clients that too much masturbation is unhealthy for men?
Yes. So when you have a porn addiction and you're masturbating, you're actually being driven by the porn addiction. It's a neural addiction to the chemicals in the brain. The brain gets used to those chemicals only after a couple of weeks when you are a lot younger, and then relies on those chemicals to function. So this is where the addiction, comes in. And in the hindbrain actually says, well, we didn't die from this yesterday, so we're going to do it again today. And that's the thing that sends impulses to the person to actually, keep watching it. So masturbating, because you have a porn addiction, is being driven by the addiction, and it has nothing to do with sexual energy, arousal, or sex. So men think they've got this massive high sex drive, and that women can't keep up with them, but it's nothing more than a porn addiction. And that's the brain constantly searching for that hit. And it is exactly the same as a drug addiction. They've done research, and there's brain scans all over Google that you can see. So it is hit crash that the brain's constantly doing. If you add that tires the body, it also decreases sexual energy, which the work that I do, we work with chi and sexual energy, and it's all the same as life force energy. It's all one and the same type of energy. So you're decreasing your energy by doing that. You also lose a lot of nutrients and minerals when you ejaculate, and if you're doing that frequently, you lose half your daily zinc in one ejaculation. If you have a zinc deficiency, you have a whole lot of problems. If you have a zinc deficiency, you have a copper toxicity in the body, and there's a whole lot of extra problems, hair loss, acne, mood swings, major problems, health problems in the body, just from ejaculating regularly. If you add in porn on top of that, you've got a massive, massive problem. So the way I get guys off porn is we take them off porn first, and then we reduce the masturbation as well. So we do conscious self-pleasure. Conscious self-pleasure is when we're doing breathing. There's a certain timer that's set. You have to close your eyes. You're not allowed to wriggle around and flex and clench your body. You have to learn how to use energy and breath work, and eventually you'll learn to have an orgasm without ejaculation. So that's kind of the path that I take guys on in my program. But in terms of your everyday guy who is watching porn every day, and he's masturbating for, like, say, 5 minutes or less, and he's ejaculating as soon as he feels the urge, you are ruining yourself for life. Your brain gets overstimulated, your penis is desensitized. That's why we have so much erectile dysfunction.
And I'm sure not many people would be aware of that at all. They think it's a natural part of the body's mechanics, and the effect that it has on mental health is quite enormous. Now, a lot of people are underperforming at their jobs and even at school with their studies because of this addiction. So it's good that you're approaching it in a very strategic manner. That's what has to be done, and people have to replace these addictions with healthy activities. Is that what you would say, Catherine?
Yeah. So in my program, it's a 90-day program, and we really only look at the porn addiction in the first 4 weeks. The guys get off it straight away because there's accountability each week. But I know more than anyone that the mental health stuff is just sitting just below the surface, and they're using porn and masturbation to try and self-medicate with that. So the second that we take away porn, we have to give them something else to do. So the first thing is, as I said, the conscious self-pleasure exercises. So we don't just take away masturbation completely. We train you differently in how to do that. I also teach them, or we take them through Qigong. They do Qigong every day, which is an energy practice to get the energy going in the body. They do sleep meditation every night. They do what's called a microcosmic orbit meditation every second day, which is learning to use the sexual energy channel. And then always exercise is a go-to in terms of triggers. Triggers, we always identify what the triggers are, and the triggers are never sexual. They're never ever sexual. They're never I feel horny. They're never I saw this, I saw that. It's always I'm bored, I'm alone, I'm tired, I'm hungover, I'm depressed, I'm anxious. It's always all of that. So we look at each individual case, and we come up with an activity or 3 that person sees a high reward in. So if I say to them, all right, we'll go for a walk, and that'll distract you. If that person doesn't want to walk, then that doesn't work because that doesn't reward them. So we have to work out what their reward system and their value system is and what really means something to them. It might be something in their business, but I can actually help them climb the ladder in their new business or something. So we work on that. Reading, and we get some books and exercises and videos, and there's a lot to do, and it's each week that they're held accountable so that they don't have a chance to fall through the cracks. Someone doing it on their own, though, I would always recommend exercise because it increases endorphins and serotonin in the body, which is what porn also does. So you kind of have to recreate. You can't just take everything away. You have to inject something else into your life instead, but you have to enjoy doing it. It can't be cooking if you hate cooking or walking if you hate walking. Does that make sense?
Have you had many difficult clients where the treatment doesn't take effect and it's been a real struggle?
Interesting question. There are plenty of struggle moments and days in this job. I now am very strict. Like you said, I've got a protocol, a process, a methodology, a science behind all of this. We don't come from the moral side of things normally. I state in the first 2-hour consult that if they don't want to do this work, if they turn around and just go home and watch porn, and they don't want to do the homework that they get, which is masturbation homework, then don't come back. So I give them the two options. You either stay with me and do this work, or someone else that's in the field, or you decide to just keep doing it. Because I won't help people that aren't willing to help themselves. And since I've put my foot down and drawn that boundary with people, we've had a lot of success happening because the ideal clients are coming in. There's plenty of guys out there who have contacted me, thousands actually, to get my free resources, watch my videos, get the free masturbation homework, read the free ebooks. That's all great. But when I've contacted them and just followed up, they're like, no, couldn't do it. I couldn't even do the first day because it means I have to take away porn. So there's this massive attachment to this thing. And guys think they can give up any time. I hear it all the time. And I also hear that they're not addicted. They all contact me and say, I'm not addicted or anything, and I ask them how often they're watching it. And it's every day, if not 3 times a day. And they still don't hold that in their mind as an addiction. So, there's a lot of men out there that are seeking help slightly, but they're not really ready to step up and do this work because porn has become part of their identity. And it's literally become part of their cells. Your brain is developing at, between 12 and 22, and that's when men are watching it religiously, especially the teenagers now. And it's this constant changing and rewiring of the brain, and it becomes part of your personality and what you do every day and your go-to and how you deal with stress and how you deal with women, and all of these things are all integrated into who you are. So when I come along and say, hey, how about we take that away, even if their penis isn't working and they can't do anything to help that, they still won't do the work because they don't want to get rid of porn. So.
Yeah. And it doesn't help when people are being bombarded with sexual images in TV, advertising, and magazines. Those would be a trigger for a lot of people, wouldn't it, Catherine?
Absolutely. It's got to the point where men are very open with me, and I'm not breaching any confidentiality with this because these aren't clients that have said things, but I get told all the time on social media that there are men that are seeing a woman in the supermarket and they have to go and wait quickly to sort that out because they were attracted to her. And men have this, society has this belief that men think with their dicks and they're highly sexual and blah, blah, blah. They are, but if you take away porn, men are connected sexually. They're connected to their thoughts and feelings. They know how to harness sexual energy. It doesn't take over. That's a porn addiction. Someone that has to wank and be triggered all the time. If you're a porn addict, the whole world, like you said, is just one big trigger. But the second that you get off that and you teach your brain to get off that drug addiction that it's running, that program it's running, then you can appreciate women and sex and feel horny all day, every day, and just be absolutely fine with it and loving it and using it all areas of your life, which is called sublimation. So, we have to acknowledge first that this is a massive problem, that the triggers are there, not because you're a man and not because she's got hardly any clothes on or she's on Instagram or she's bending over or anything like that. Yes, that's being a woman living in that world isn't fun either, and the women are ruining it for everyone else. Those things aren't triggers to people that don't run a porn addiction in the brain. It's awareness that there are sexual imbalances in nearly every single person on this planet. It doesn't matter whether it's porn or something else, and we really have to address it because it's causing major problems in people's lives, all areas of their lives.
Yeah. And when people repress these biological urges, it can manifest itself in other ways like anger and other negative effects.
Absolutely. And these urges aren't real urges. They are not organic sexual energy urges. I treat plenty of men and I can feel sexual energy. My body starts to move and I tune into the vibrational frequency. And anyone that watches porn is like an empty vessel. There is no energy flowing through their body. I mean, there is because their bodily functions are going in their organs, but there's literally nothing there. So they'll tell me that their sexual energy is 7, 8 out of 10, that no one can keep up with them, that the women, just can't, cater to their needs, all of these things. And I'm like, dude, it's like 1 or 2 out of 10. That's where your actual sexual energy is lying. So this brain addiction is running men in society to just, and that part of the brain that gets damaged is the part that controls the sexual behaviours and the self-control. So you've got this thing feeding off men's brains, and everyone thinks it's a cultural, moral issue. I mean, it is, but you've got to look at the science behind it, and it's killing our men. It literally is. I've got men that contact me who are suicidal because of porn.
And it's very sad to watch healthy relationships break down because of this addiction. And there's a Nofap, a no masturbation movement. You say that is ineffective as well, don't you? To some degree.
So as a lifestyle choice, no fap means no masturbation. Fap is the noise that Americans have given us slang terms for a masturbation. Right? No fap means no porn, no masturbation. And it's the way that guys are quitting porn all over the world. They're in running camps for it and everything. But people are relapsing all the time, 20 days, 5 days, 100 days. And if you have a look on Instagram and join the NoFap hashtag, you will see it all unfolding in front of you. And I kept thinking, well, how come my clients aren't relapsing, the ones that do the work with me and keep coming back or contact me or whatever? And it's because I give them masturbation homework. It's conscious self-pleasure. You have to close your eyes. You have to do breathing. There are guidelines, and we progress you through 90 days of that masturbation to the point where you're learning how to have orgasms without ejaculation, multiple orgasms, learning to breathe, learning to hold your erections and keep them without losing them. So all of these tools and skills can be learnt by anyone. But the guys that are doing no fap, it's like telling an obese person, you cannot eat food for the rest of your life indefinitely. It's in scarcity. You're taking something away, so the person thinks they're sacrificing something. They're having to give this up. But what happens is when you give up these things, your sexual energy starts to naturally rise again. So these guys have been triggered majorly by their sexual energy that they haven't had the whole time they've been watching porn. So when it starts to increase, they get really, really stressed out, and they connect porn and masturbation together. Porn, masturbation, orgasm, ejaculation. There's 4 links in the chain. These guys are linking all 4 links, and what they're trying to do is get rid of all of the links together. It doesn't rewire the brain. Your body will start to recover if you do NoFap, so it will start to rewire and reprogram to a point in terms of energy and health, and you'll start to feel better. You'll be able to focus and concentrate better, all of those things. But if you're not addressing self-love, which is masturbation, and you don't know how to do that properly, and you don't know how to do it to harness sexual energy, to have an amazing orgasmic experience where you're having all of these things happen to your body and then sharing that with another person when you have sex, then you are ignoring the triggers, and the triggers will be around you. It's almost like diving into the shark tank.
Yes.
Really. So you've got to learn to consciously self-pleasure, and that's why NoFap doesn't work. NoFap is eventually we get the guys in the program they masturbate every day, for 20 minutes, they're edging every day, but they're not ejaculating. So they're trying to teach their bodies to actually have those orgasms without ejaculation. And then eventually, after the program, they come up with their own schedule. They're masturbating probably once a week, but they have to do the breathing, they have to close their eyes, they have to make it about all 5 senses. We have 5 senses, guys, not just one, which is visual. And the way that you're touching yourself is not considered an arousing thing because you're just mechanically going through the motions of touching yourself and getting the job done. We're talking eyes, smells, oils, candles, heat, music, sounds that you make. All of these things are what arouses a person, and men aren't doing that. So I'm teaching all of that as well. And a lot of the guys are now doing it with their partners. They're not allowed to touch each other, but the partners are also doing the same conscious self-pleasure exercises because there are women in this world who have never touched themselves. And I don't understand how you can be consciously sexual if you don't know how your own body works.
Exactly. And what would be your advice to someone struggling with these issues, but they're too embarrassed to step forward and admit it?
Yeah. So I have a lot of free resources, a lot of videos on YouTube. That's where you'll see all of them together, especially on this topic. You can watch me on my Facebook page, and I have a website as well. On the website, integratedmenshealth.com.au, you will find all the free resources. So there's an ebook, which is free. There is a 2-week masturbation challenge, which you can try free as well. There is another book, which is only $14.95, which is the full version of the ebook that you can read. All of those are very low cost, and you can try all of these things on your own. And then you can also book in with me and do casual coaching. That's the next level up. So that's $80 a session. And so not everything is really expensive. Depends where you live as well. I do global stuff. So if you're from overseas or interstate in Australia, then you can do coaching stuff with me. We do it like this on the video. And they get lots of homework, lots of exercises, intimacy stuff, values, belief systems, all of these things we address, and you don't have to live near me. But then I've got all the treatments that I do, which are hands-on stuff, and we activate Kundalini in these treatments, and guys don't feel like watching porn again. I can't claim anything, so I'm not. So yeah, there's plenty of options. They can contact me on any of those pages, and it's not anonymous, I know that, but you can text me as well. My number's on all of those pages, and we can just have a chat for free. You don't need to go into anything in detail. You don't need to tell me what you've been watching. I never go into content with guys. I just don't want to hear it. That's my boundary as a practitioner because I need to get some sleep at night.
Yes.
So we don't, and I have a child, and I need to be a good mum. So we don't go into content. We go into your habits and behaviours and how we can fix that. And I swear a lot, and I'm very down to earth, and guys come in, and the questions that they get asked, we just break the ice and we just get straight into it. So just send me a text, hello, I need some help, or can I please get some information, or visit the website and just do it all anonymously.
That's very rewarding, the service that you're providing, and I'm sure that you've saved a lot of relationships and marriages as well. What sort of feedback have you received from your clients?
This is why I keep doing what I'm doing, because of the benefits and the results and the outcomes of the work that I'm doing. And I like to keep in contact with nearly all of my clients if that's what they want to do. And I get feedback all the time. I have testimonial feedback websites set up so guys can just anonymously say how the treatment was or how they're feeling. And that's really, really helped. Not just the business, but it's helped other men, because the men want to see it from the men. They don't believe me for some reason, because I don't have a penis. I've been told many times. They have increase in energy immediately. They start to notice erections normally within 2 weeks. They start to come back, morning erections. Focus and concentration. All the guys in the program now have girlfriends. They've quit their office jobs or their subcontracting jobs, and they're now working for themselves. The intimacy and the connection, the confidence, the lack of stress, anxiety. We've just beaten all of the mental health stuff. These guys are like ambassadors for my program and for my for my cause, and I'm trying to get them to now swing around and help the younger guys as well, the teens, but that's just in the making at the moment. So it's a very rewarding job. These guys, it's life-changing, and you can see all the testimonials on my website and on Instagram, and you'll see that it saves lives, not just relationships, and it saves lives. I've helped so many men that have been sexually abused who now watch porn, and it has completely changed their lives. Guys that were suicidal when they first contacted me no longer have depression. It's huge.
That's great news. Well, look, I want to thank you for educating people on this matter, and hopefully relationships between men and women will improve because of it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's been great.
You're welcome. Thank you, Catherine. Well, that does it for another episode. If you're struggling with a porn addiction, links will be in the description to Catherine's services at Integrated Men's Health. I wish you the best of luck in recovery, and I'll see you next time. Are you fed up with the propaganda and deception from mainstream media? Well, you deserve better. That's why the We Are Change talk show is here. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Australia Unite for Children's Rights event. My name's Jeff O'Toole. Have you experienced an injustice or a form of corruption? Well, phone the We Are Change talk show today.
My son has, he contracted Listeria meningitis at birth, but I believe this happened to him intentionally, that somebody actually got to him and poisoned him.
If you could look into the camera and speak to these accusers, what would you say to them?
I'd say to them to actually go and find someone real to go and chase, and to leave me alone, because I don't deserve the treatment that I'm getting from you, that's for sure. And you guys should actually be held accountable for the harassment and all the undue stress and money that you have cost me over all this time.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. Like you said, I think people need to work together.
A pleasure, brother. Nice to see some voices in Australia doing this sort of thing.
It's a pleasure to be here, and certainly appreciate the platform that you've created.
Thank you for having me on. We Are Change has a great reputation, so I'm glad to be on your show. And
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate it as well.
Excellent. Good luck.
Thank you for having me, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having me, and just, thanks for supporting victims down there.
So don't hesitate. Phone the We Are Change talk show today. The number is on your screen.